The first time I came in contact with the gospel was at the age of 15. I was very radical for a young man of my age. And I began to make a difference. I began to understand that there were no half measures. I wanted to serve God as opposed to become something in the world. One part of me wanted to do political science. I wanted to become a radical political figure with radical ideas. And I knew I could do it, and I was planning to go and study in Russia to have brutalized and radicalized ideas. I was battling with, do I want to become famous in the world or famous for God? And I chose God. So I knelt down and I said, Lord, I give you my heart, my life afresh. Wherever you send me, I'll go. Whatever you ask me to do, I will do. I can sit here today and say that now I have radicalized ideas for God.
Hello and welcome back to OJ Coaching, your one-stop for inspirational and educational content to help you live a disciplined and successful life. With me on today's episode is a very important personality in the person of Pastor Philip Donald. Pastor Philip Donald is a minister in Christian Missionary Fellowship International. He leads the work in the United Kingdom and he oversees several other areas of the world globally, in Southeast Asia, the Caribbean, and several other parts of the world, the Middle East. He's a very well-traveled minister of the gospel. He has gone on over 300 international missionary trips, and he has been to more than 50 nations to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's such a wonderful privilege to have him here on the show today. We have brought him on the show today to help us navigate the nuances of your faith and your academics. What are the intersections? How can a person of faith navigate the academic world? So sit tight, and I know you will really be very enriched by our conversation today. Welcome to our program today, sir. I've tried to introduce you. Yes, sir, but can you tell us a bit more about yourself, especially with an emphasis on your educational background?
Like every other child, I went to regular school, completed primary school, went to secondary school, completed. May I say that the first time I came in contact with the gospel was at the age of 15. I was in secondary school then. It was at that time that I began to put my faith into focus, because when I came to know Jesus Christ at the age of 15, I loved him with all my heart, and I was very radical for a young man of my age. And I began to make a difference. While at school, I remember I was in a Catholic secondary school. And while at school, we had to go to the chapel every Friday. Catholic school, chapel every Friday during the first period, which was 50 minutes. It was compulsory for everyone. But while we kept going, I noticed that Muslim students were not allowed, or were excused rather, from attending the church services. There were about 4 of them. So the principal, who was a reverend sister, told them that they had a choice to attend or not to attend. So one day I walked into the principal's office and I told her what had happened to me, my encounter with Christ, and the fact that I was no longer comfortable to attend the chapel. So I told her I don't want to go anymore. What happened then or after was quite interesting, because she came to the assembly the following day and made an announcement that from today, Philip Ndasi Donald is no longer allowed to attend chapel, and all those who would like to join him
Wow.
can also stop attending the chapel, So while the rest of the students are going to the chapel, you follow Philip into one of the classrooms, let him teach you the Bible. Wonderful. Our school wasn't a big school. We're about 320 students. And lo and behold, every week the numbers were increasing until we got to about 100 students who were coming every week for me to teach them the Bible. It was a challenge for me too, because I had to look for Bible verses, Bible chapters. So I was forced to do reading my Bible. So I'll have a message to preach on a weekly basis. And I want to really say that that is when my Christian journey began. But may I add that in as much as I was committed to teach these students, I also made sure that academically I did very well, because I began to learn that I needed to be an example, so that my message or what I was preaching, there will not be a contradiction with my academic performance. So I made sure I did well at school, and I made sure I lived a life of a Christian so that both ways I'll be an example to the others.
Thank you very much for sharing that, sir. So I have a follow-on question. Now, you were really given to your faith in Christ, your commitment to Christ. Did you know you were going to be a preacher at that time?
No, I didn't know I was going to be a preacher, to be honest. But one thing I want to say is that when I gave my life to Christ, rather when Christ saved me at that tender age, as I read the Bible, I began to understand that there were no half measures. I needed to give Christ my all. I wanted to serve him with all of my heart. I didn't know where I would be eventually in the future. I can't tell you that I decided then that I'll be a missionary, but I enjoyed the fact that I was a child of God, enjoyed the fact that I was zealous, enjoyed the fact that I preached the gospel to my classmates, enjoyed the fact that during the holidays, I always went to the streets alone, preaching the gospel at that tender age. I just enjoyed it. And I think in my subconscious, I just told myself, God will do the rest. What the future holds, we will see. But it was not a conscious decision that I wanted to be a missionary.
Okay, so at that time, it means you were studying some subjects, some courses. So what did you study?
In secondary school, I was good at every subject. In the sciences, I did well. In the arts, I did well. Such that when I was leaving secondary school, I knew that I would do sciences. So I went to high school. In high school, I started doing chemistry, biology, and mathematics. But for some reason, I want to own up here that I did not appreciate my chemistry teacher. So it became very difficult for me to continue in chemistry. So I decided one day, woke up one morning and I decided that, okay, I'm going to switch a career path. So I went and did history, economics, and geography, which is what I had as in my A-levels before going to university.
Okay, so does that say something to the fact that the nature of a teacher can inform a career choice?
Yes and no. No, first of all, and the fact that when a child or when a student is going to school, I believe that in as much as that you can be influenced by how the teacher teaches, the character of the teacher, the student should have a commitment. Because you are going to school not to admire the teachers. You are going to school to study. So you keep your mind straight, focus on your studies. But that's not what I did. I didn't focus on my studies. I focused on how the teacher was. And it didn't turn out well.
Also, would you have preferred to study the sciences?
I would have preferred to study science. But I also want to add, as I think back now, that I believe that those who did science were better.
You believed it, or
I believed then
okay,
that science students were superior to art students.
So is that
It's no form. So for me, I think it was a bit humbling to go and do arts. But today, I'm very happy I did arts.
very well? So I believe that there are certain reasons in your journey of the arts that make you satisfied that you went that route.
Yes.
What are some of those things?
When I went to university, the way the university was structured, you do history and geography in year 1. You do history and geography in year 2. In year 3, you then specialize either to do history or geography. And if you whichever you specialize in, you also choose a domain. So when I got to 3rd year, by the time I was getting to 3rd year, there were soundings. It was at the time in church and in the ministry where our founding leader began to talk about the missionary enterprise. And because my heart was malleable, I loved the Lord so much that I wanted to do what the Lord asked me to do. But if I may make a step back, when I was in secondary school, I used to be a sportsman. I played handball. I was the handball captain in secondary school. I was involved in sports a lot in high school. So I played handball, I played football, I played volleyball, I played basketball. I was involved in athletics. So when I went to university, one day I was coming back from school and I met a former schoolmate who said the Cameroon Handball Association was looking for me to come and be part of the Cameroon handball team. I looked at him and I said no. So I went back home, knelt down by my bedside, and reconsecrated my heart to Jesus. Because I was battling with, do I want to become famous in the world or famous for God? And I chose God. So I knelt down and I said, Lord, I give you my heart, my life afresh. Wherever you send me, I'll go. Whatever you ask me to do, I will do. So when the time came to specialize in 3rd year, there were soundings that I had to come to the United Kingdom as a missionary. So I chose history. After choosing history, I chose British history specifically to study the land in which I was to go, or which I desired to go, to serve the Lord and to preach the gospel.
So that tells me something, that it is possible to navigate your academics in the direction of God's call on your life.
Absolutely.
It's not necessary.
Like, I believe and I know that God uses whatever we have in His service. He is the one who gives us the talents. He's the one who gives us the abilities. He's the one who gives us the capacities. Therefore, whatever God has given us, has endowed upon us, God will eventually use it for His service. I liked history a lot when I was in secondary school. But there are some things that you like, there are some inclinations you have and you don't know why. But with time, as things evolve and as things become clearer, then you begin to understand why there were those inclinations. I was very good in history. I was very good with dates. I was very good with events. So it wasn't even difficult for me to make the choice. But just the fact that the missionary call was there, going to England, I said, why not? There was an opportunity to study British history, to know the history of the land where I was going to serve the Lord. May I also add that the whole matter about going to serve the Lord was a matter of choice. I wanted to serve God as opposed to become something in the world. Because when I was doing the history, the one part of me wanted to do political science. Because I had done international relations and diplomacy, I wanted to become a radical political figure with radical ideas. And I knew I could do it, and I was planning to go and study in Russia to have brutalized and radicalized ideas. But I can sit here today and say that now I have radicalized ideas for God, which is my commitment to Jesus.
Which serves the world better than...
Yes,
Yeah.
all the degrees that anybody can acquire, they are very good. Please, if you are going to school, make sure you complete your studies, because there are doors that will open, and I mean international doors, international borders, because you studied. When you are applying for your visa and you mention that you have a bachelor's degree, you mention that you have a master's degree, I think it creates an impression to the visa officers whether to offer you a visa or not. So studying or having studied helps in opening international borders.
So for those who want to serve God and are thinking, I'm not going to be a professor anyways, I don't want to go into the professional world anyways, I just want to preach the gospel. You are saying that if they do have the opportunity to study, then it's better to complete their academic.
It's important to complete studies, because if a person goes to school and does not complete his studies, what will be the reason? A person may not complete their studies because they don't want to work hard. A person may not complete their studies because they are lazy. A person may not complete their studies because they made the wrong choice or the wrong career path in their studies. But I want to say that whatever pathway a person chooses in their studies, make sure you complete it. Because if it is difficult to acquire your degree, it will be more difficult to conquer the souls of men in the preaching of the gospel.
So preachers have to excel academically.
Preachers have to excel academically. It's not a condition,
But if they,
it's essential.
because the Bible says, whatever your hand finds to do it with all your heart. Thank you for watching so far. Share with us in the comments section what stood out to you. And watch out for part 2. Until then, like, share, subscribe to OJ Coaching. Bye for now.